In the Space Marine video game series, Titus is the former captain of the Ultramarines 2nd Company. Although relatively young by Astartes standards, Titus has fought in a number of major campaigns where his exceptional ability and devotion to duty has earned him a reputation as one of the greatest heroes of the Ultramarines chapter of Space Marines. Titus was born on the planet of Tarentus, one of the agri-worlds within the realm of Ultramar. After his recruitment into the Ultramarines, he swiftly passed initial training, excelling at every challenge, emerging as the best among his peers. Titus would discover his true purpose after his initiation and becoming a full Astartes. His instinctive behaviour in battle was second nature, and he wore his chapter colours with pride, knowing that he was fighting for the Emperor and for the Imperium of mankind. Since a young age, Titus has always struggled to control his temperament and is often quick to anger. There have been various occasions on the battlefield where Titus has allowed these feelings to overwhelm his mind, colouring his judgment, leading to some near fatal encounters where only his natural fighting ability kept him alive. As he became more experienced, he learned to better control his anger, which now serves to make him even more savage in combat. Titus inherited command of the Ultramarines 2nd Company after Captain General Trajan, his former mentor, was unfortunately killed by Eldari forces in a disastrous mission. Titus held Trajan to be the ideal representation of the Ultramarines' nobility and honour, and upon taking the mantle of command, aspired to follow in his example. However, unlike Trajan, Titus believed that the Codex Astartes offered an excellent series of guidelines for what it meant to be an Astartes, rather than a sacred text to be mindlessly followed. He believed that the spirit of the Codex was more important than its written word, and that how one chose to live out the directives contained within it truly determined if one was an Astartes or not. As the years passed, Titus gained valuable experience and renown, both on and off the battlefield. Titus is a trusted commander, and his connection to his battle brothers grew stronger with each campaign. Veteran Sergeant Sidonus, who became an Astartes a few decades before Titus, is perhaps one of his closest battle brothers and trusted friend. Sidonus has always been there to provide Titus with a calm and level-headed voice when the situation calls for it. As a company captain, Titus values the lives of each and every one of his battle brothers. If they fall in battle, he will stop at nothing until the enemy responsible has paid in blood. From his first battlefield encounters, Titus has displayed a keen interest in strategic knowledge and is always looking to understand his enemy's tactical decisions. With every battle, he has learned their strengths and how to properly exploit their weaknesses. Titus would face his greatest challenge yet when his company received a distress call from the Imperial Forge world of Graia. The planet had been invaded by a large force of orcs, led by the war boss Grimskull, and was calling for reinforcements. Graia is located in the segmentum Tempestus, and is one of the many forge worlds run by the Adeptus Mechanicus. It's home to an Imperial Titan Legion known as the Legio Astroman, the Morning Stars. The million-strong orc horde was thought to be raiding the planet to gain access to its powerful Titan-class weaponry, and could not be allowed to succeed. The 203rd Cadian Regiment, which was the only Astra Militarum force close enough to react, had already been dispatched to bolster the almost completely destroyed Mechanicum and planetary defence forces. The Ultramarines 2nd Company arrived on their strike cruiser Fury of Descent and headed for the source of the distress signal, which had been sent by an Imperial Inquisitor named Drogon. Drogon had been stationed on Graia to oversee the development of an experimental weapon that drew its power directly from the warp. Captain Titus and his battle brothers fought their way to the Inquisitor and assisted him in securing the weapon's power source. The Ultramarines were successful in retrieving the device and delivered it directly to Drogon's laboratory so that the weapon could be unleashed against the relentless orcs. Unfortunately, Titus had wandered into a trap. The Inquisitor was but a hollow shell that had been possessed by a warp entity and was under the control of a Chaos Lord and powerful sorcerer called Nemeroth. The weapon he had developed, called the Psychic Scourge, actually opened a warp rift to the immaterial realm, allowing a force of chaos demons led by Nemeroth himself to pass through so that they may claim the weapon for the dark gods. The Ultramarines now had to deal with a much more sinister threat than just the orcs. Prior to the attack on the Forge World, the Orc warboss Grimskull had learned of the advanced Imperial weapons housed within its mighty manufactorums, and had a particular interest in looting a Warlord-class battle titan. Upon reaching the hangar containing the Titan Invictus, Captain Titus and Grimskull clashed head-to-head. Grimskull was brutally powerful, but could not match the skill of the Space Marine captain, and was slain in a frantic battle. The Titan's command crew had already begun preparations to bring the mighty machine god online, but were still struggling to power the Titan's weapon systems. Titus boarded the exterior of Invictus and used Drogon's power source to fuel its colossal volcano cannon, ordering it to fire upon the planet's orbital spire to destroy the Psychic Scourge that had opened the warp rift. This managed to contain, but not seal off the rift. Titus handed the power source to Sergeant Sidonus, instructing him to make way for a nearby landing pad to deliver the device to the Ultramarine strike cruiser Fury of Descent. Meanwhile, Titus headed off to hunt down and destroy the Chaos Sorcerer. After battling his way through the Chaos forces, Titus arrived at the same landing pad to find the Sergeant who had been ambushed by Nemeroth himself. Unfortunately, before Titus had chance to intervene, the Chaos Sorcerer drove his lightning claws straight through the veteran Sergeant's power armour and claimed the power source for himself. Nemeroth intended to use its stored energy to begin a dark ritual that would transform him into a creature of unrivaled power, a demon prince. Before disappearing to conduct his twisted plan, Nemeroth attempted to end the captain with a blast of channeled warp energy. This powerful attack would have been enough to overcome most Astartes, but not Titus. His natural resistance to the powers of the warp saved his life, and merely incapacitated him while Nemeroth made his escape. Outraged that his oldest friend had been slain, Titus pursued Nemeroth to the top of what remained of the orbital spire. Nemeroth had already begun the ritual of transformation, and was protected by an empiric barrier of warp energy. Luckily, Titus managed to reach Nemeroth before the demonic ascendance could fully complete, forcing Nemeroth to step forward in his new, partially transformed demonic form. Undeterred, Titus launched an assault while the twisted demon was vulnerable. In a brutal charge, Titus knocked Nemeroth off the side of the spire, sending himself, the Chaos Sorcerer and the power source hurtling down towards the ground. The two were still locked in battle mid-fall when Titus grabbed hold of Nemeroth's head, crushing the traitor's skull with his bare hands. Titus would then destroy the power source, causing an immense explosion of warp energy that finally closed the rift and ended the Chaos incursion on Graia. Curiously, the captain was seemingly immune to the sorcerer's psychic powers that had been able to corrupt Inquisitor Drogon's mind. This raised concern with Leandros, one of the Astartes under his command. Leandros was well aware that his commander often deviated from the Codex Astartes far more than an Ultramarine should, and suspected that Titus may have fallen to corruption. Despite saving Graia, Captain Titus was taken into custody by the Inquisition after Leandros reported him on suspicion of heresy. The captain would then be held and investigated by Inquisitor Thrax for both his resistance to Nemeroth's sorcery and the apparent lack of adherence to the Codex Astartes. After thorough scrutiny, no sign of such a taint could be found, nor has the captain been deemed to be a psyker. Quite how a non-psyker has such a resistance to the ruinous powers still remains a mystery. Titus was later released by the Inquisition and was demoted to the rank of lieutenant. Like many of his fellow Ultramarines, Titus has now crossed the Rubicon to become a Primaris Space Marine. Titus is now among the Ultramarine reinforcements deployed on an Imperial world under siege from a large Tyranid invasion to bolster its defensive forces and to prove his devotion to his chapter once more.